Hey guys, how are you? So, pardon my wet hair. You got to get the time when you can get the time. So, for my research proposal, initially, before everything happened, I wanted to look at which style of co teaching, which co teaching model is the best at helping students feel more confident in their learning. Um, the more we read and worked with it, that kind of um, became a focus on two specific models instead of all the models. And those two were the one teach, one assist, and the parallel teach model. So, with the one teach, one assist, and that is the one that I have the most experience with, every single teacher that I have co taught with has wanted to be the one teach, one assist. I tried very unsuccessfully with a new special education teacher about 6 years ago to really work at being a great example of a co teaching classroom, and that kind of just backfired on me because the special education teacher was just in her first year of teaching, and English 1 was an EOC course, and so there was a lot of pressure on her and on me, and it just didn't work out for us. But back to my research, in the one teach, one assist, again, that's the one we're probably most common with, and that's where as the content teacher, I would be delivering the instruction, and my co teacher would be moving about the room, helping students when they need it, keeping students on task. As I was doing research for this, I found that that is actually the least successful model of co teaching. Um, and I think I can see that in practice only because my co teacher, although I really, really like the person, is typically sitting at their desk on the computer, updating IEPs, trying to catch up on all the work they have to do instead of helping students before their hand goes up. So I've never really had that one teach, one assist where the co teacher is doing what is defined in the model, which is moving around and assisting students throughout the lesson instead of just waiting until they're asked for help. The parallel structure is one that I really like, but I have a difficult time wrapping my brain around, and the research kind of supported the difficulty that could be um, an issue based on this model. And parallel teaching is just where I am teaching and my co teacher is also teaching the same content, but maybe if it's a poem, I'm using a different poem because it has some connection to the type of student that I'm working with, and she's using a poem that's right for the group of kids she's working with. So the content is the same, but the delivery might vary a little bit, and the context texts might vary. We'd probably all still be working on the same fulcrum text, but those context texts would probably be a little bit different. I love the idea of this because it really allows for instruction to be more personalized, but we don't even have enough classrooms for our teachers, and we don't have a location to go to kind of do that on a regular basis. Because in the classroom, the research says that if you're doing parallel teaching, you have to really be careful that the kids aren't distracting each other in the groups, or kids in your group aren't just like distracted by the other group listening to it. And I could see that being a real problem. So, through all the research, the thing that kind of kept repeating itself is that there isn't one model that is successful for students. The thing is that you have to pick the model that works best with your population and then with your content that you're delivering. So it might be that for this particular lesson, parallel teaching is the absolute right thing to do, and we think it's going to go marvelously. But in a lesson we have planned for next week, that parallel model might be great, or the one teach, one assist model might be great. I'm sorry. And so it's basing the structure or the model you choose based on the instruction that you're going to be delivering and the student needs. I really love that, but I can see how much additional time that takes. And when you are not in a situation where the co teaching is really being used properly, it's likely that you and that teacher do not share common planning, or if you share common planning, that teacher has other obligations, or that teacher is co teaching with another teacher. So finding that time to work together is essential, but I think it's one of the most difficult pieces. Um, and without it, I don't really know, other than, meeting legal requirements, co-teaching really isn't doing what it should be or could be doing if we aren't given the opportunity to work closely with co-teachers as content teachers and plan instruction that meets the needs of the students and use a model that is most appropriate for the instruction that we're going to be delivering. Um, when I was going to kind of use this research and do a study, I thought about at first, I was going to just survey students and focus on student success um, or based on student opinions. But as I was doing the research and as we were kind of looking at other studies, it seemed that the better thing to do would be a survey and to have students and teachers take a survey that just kind of examines how they felt the instruction would go as teachers and then how it went as teachers, really reflecting on the practice and its success. As students, it's just looking at I felt assisted in my learning. I think having two teachers is beneficial to me. If we're looking at the one teach, one assist, like I didn't have to ask for help. Some specific questions that really look at how the models are being used. I also wanted to look at No Red Ink, and so actually my curriculum study is on No Red Ink because if I were to do the research study in the classroom, I think No Red Ink would be the platform I use because of its pre, post, and growth abilities in the assessments, because I could give a pre-assessment before a mini unit, use the model of co-teaching, and then give a post-assessment and see what kind of growth I saw based, or is that different from the growth I predicted. And the same thing with the other model is just to use another mini unit. And because it allows me to assign growth quizzes, I feel like even doing the research study, I would still be able to point to students who needed additional interventions and do that outside of this study. Um, so I was a little disappointed that I couldn't do the actual work because co-teaching is something that is used in my classroom. It's also something that my school really heavily focuses on. We used to have it in English 1, English 2, English 3, and English 4. This year they moved it just to English 1 and English 2. Uh, and they're trying to advocate for seniors to have English co-teaching again. But mainly the argument I've heard is that it helps keep them on task. But I really haven't heard about the skills that the students are learning. Um, so that is what I want it to do. I think I'm probably going to continue to look at this just because it impacts my instruction. And the more I learn about the models, the more I feel like I can at least put this into practice in my classroom. Thank you guys. Bye.